welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be telling you all some of my favorite podcasts. Most of these podcasts have to deal with personal development or like self-growth, self-love, different things of that nature. I didn't realize it until after I was almost done, but they are all hosted by Black women. For the first podcast we're going to start with today, we have Carefree and Black Diaries, and it is hosted by UJRYE, H.E.R with 2 A's. On this podcast, she talks about things that are going on in our society and culture. I feel like this is a good podcast to watch if you're someone who don't watch the news, but you want to still know what's going on in the news. She talks about a lot of things like that. She also has another podcast called Black History Moments, where she talks about different Black history facts that aren't really known about. Like, it's not going to be like no Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. It's going to be other stuff. I listened to most of those during Black History Month. Honestly, I don't even know if she's still posting about them. I don't know if it was just for Black History Month or what. But during Black History Month, I listened to most of those, and they were all good. And I can say that most of them, at least like 75 to 80% of them, were something or somebody that I didn't know, and if I did know them, it was something I did not know about them. And she also does Carefree updates. Yes, I got my iPad right here. She also does Carefree updates, which is basically where she'll talk about different shows that she's watching, and she'll relate it to either the topic that she's talking about for the episode, or she just give her take on the show that she's watching. That's usually just a little segment of the episode, and it only happens at the beginning. But it's good if you're watching different Netflix shows or different movies. She'll talk about different movies and stuff like that, and she just give her opinion on them. Okay, and for each one of these, I get it written down. I want to give like one of my favorite episodes. I'm not gonna say it's my exact favorite, but I'm just gonna give one of my favorites because, yeah. So for Miss Carefree and Black Diaries, the episode that I want y'all to listen to is episode 21, which is it episode 21? I don't know if it's episode 21, but she posted it in January, and it was called 21 Lessons for 2021, or either December. She posted it one of those months. But the title of it is 21 Lessons for 2021. It was a very good podcast. That was a very good episode. Yes. For this second podcast recommendation, I have Cultivating Her Space, which is a podcast. It has 2 hosts on it. The first girl's name is Terry Lomax, and then the second one is Dr. Dom. Her name is Dominique Brossard, but on the show they always say like Dr. Dom, Dr. Dom. I'm talking about show, but they use that platform to create a safe space for, I would say, Black girls and women. They talk about, they talk about some things that some people may be like they don't want to talk about out loud, as far as girls, like different things that people probably just don't feel comfortable, or certain girls, I would say, don't feel comfortable talking about with other people. They address issues like that. They're also very transparent, and I feel like they keep it real with you. Like, actually, mostly all the podcasts I listen to, like, of course, they're gonna keep it real. And my podcast recommendation from them would be, let me put the iPad in. No, but this is one of their most recent ones. It was called Nice Girls Finish Last. And I also have another one that I recommended too. I feel like this resonates with me and what I'm not even gonna say going through right now. But in that podcast, they basically talked about how when you're someone who's been nice, like if you know me, like I'm always nice, like people know me as the nice person, or oh, okay, it's fine, you might do this, that. But in that podcast, she talked about how you're kind of like letting people get over on you, and they're getting used to that. So when you finally like start standing up for yourself, like they look at it as, oh, like you being bogus, and really it's just like, I'm tired of being nice or whatever, because yeah, that's really what it is. And that's why she's saying like nice girls finish last, because if you're being too nice, especially, it's like if you're growing up and you're known as the nice girl, or you always was like, okay, we could just do whatever you want to do, we could do whatever you want to do, and you never really had an opinion, or you never really had a say so. Everybody take it as you being nice, and really you're just holding back. You're not speaking your mind. You're not saying you're not even stating your opinion. You're acting as if your opinion doesn't matter. And eventually when you grow up, that kind of turns into a bad habit, and you carry it with you. And in that episode, I learned a lot, I would say, about myself. Like, it was stuff that I was already learning, but that kind of just made it click or clarify for me. That was a really good episode. Y'all should go listen to that right now. That was Cultivating Her Space, Dr. Dawn and Terry. We're gonna go to the next one. So the next podcast we have, number 3, is Therapy for Black Girls. Now this is brought to you by Dr. Joy Harden, and it was crazy because I listen to this all the time, but I never knew her name until I scrolled down to look when I was trying to write notes for this video. And with this podcast, I feel like she focuses on like mental health, as well as connecting with people that are in the Black community, I would say. Even though it says therapy for Black girls, like if you're a Black boy or if you're young, period, I feel like you're gonna be able to relate to her. Not if you're young, period, but if you're Black, period. You're gonna be able to relate to her, or it's gonna be something that she's saying that you're gonna be able to resonate with. You're gonna be able to connect with her. You're gonna understand where she's coming from. You're gonna be able to get something out of one of her episodes. That's her, and I feel like when you listen to her, she allows you to like listen and process different things. I think, yeah, she's a therapist. It's not, of course it's not therapy, it's a podcast, but when you're listening to her, you hear certain things. When you hear it like sounding like, oh, I do that, like, oh, that do sound like me, it allows for you to process different things that are personally going on in your life that can, I would say, I don't want to keep saying connect, but they can kind of connect to the episodes that she have. And my recommendation, did I do one? Oh, I did do the last one. My recommendation would be the connection between menstrual health and mental health. This one was posted not a while back, but maybe a month or two ago. And as stated, it's talking about how your menstrual health, like your period, can relate and how that affects your mental health. I think if I'm not mistaken, she had a guest on this one. Who was helping her with this, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it gave some insightful information. I feel like it told me some things that I didn't know. Like, you know, it talked about how your body is affected, your mental space is affected when like you're on your period or even when it's around that time. So good podcast. This next podcast is more so personal to me, I would say, I guess. It's called the Lifecoach Besties podcast, and I'm only saying it's personal to me because the hosts are Crystal Mason and Desiree Early, which I don't know Desiree, but Crystal Mason was my counselor in high school, and we're still close to this day. Like, we went to breakfast last week, and she's a very good coach. She's now a certified life coach. And even when I was in high school, she was a very good counselor. The episodes on the podcast are great. They just started the podcast a couple of months ago, and they post monthly. So I think it's only like 5 or 6. It's 5 episodes on there, I believe. And I've listened to 4 out of the 5. I got to listen to the last one. But literally all of the episodes are great. They talk about some experiences they've had, and they talk about how they learn from those experiences. And they're very transparent individuals as well. Podcast recommendation I would have for that, it was the first episode. It was called Friendship, and it was talking about the importance of having a core. The importance of having a core friendship, like someone that you have a core relationship with, somebody that you can go through, grow with, and experience life with. I feel like that is very vital. Yes, I feel like I have a core. I mean, I'm only 18, but I do feel like I have someone who I'm able to grow with and go through life with. Yeah, maybe I'll meet somebody else, I don't know, because I'm only about to be a sophomore in college. But it's a very good podcast, and they just talk about the experiences and how they've learned through them, as well as they give some different coaching tips since they both are life coaches. Yeah. This next podcast is Black Girls Heal by Sheena Tubbs. She has not posted in a while. I think she stopped posting like when the summer started. But the episodes that she do have on there are really good episodes. The ones that she already have on there are really good episodes. And I forget, I don't know why she said she was taking a break, probably just to take a break for herself. But she talk about different things that you can currently work on, or unhealthy like habits that are occurring in your life that you're trying to fix, and she give you different tips on that. She also discussed the healing process and how to like know when you're done healing, things you can do to heal. That's why it's called Black Girls Heal. It is to help a Black girl heal. Like maybe you, me, you know, I don't know. I don't know if you're Black and you're a girl, but yeah. That is Black Girls Heal. My favorite episode on there is that transition is okay. No, going through transition is okay. It was one of her most recent ones before she stopped posting. Next one we have is the Self-Love Fix, which is brought to you by Beatrice. and she talks about how to go from having low self-esteem to unapologetically loving yourself. She also addresses like people pleasing and allowing yourself to be happy. She's a spiritual person, which is a very spiritual person, and she also talks about manifestation. Yeah, that's Beatrice. I really like this one a lot. I think out of the ones that I've listed so far, this is the one that I listed. This is the one that I listened to the most. My recommendation for Miss Beatrice is the 3 things narcissistic abuse and codependency have taught me. Y'all know exactly what it is. Y'all hear it in the title. Okay, y'all, we about to make the rest of this quick. My family is back home. They be loud. Y'all already hear that vacuum going on. Like, okay. But the next one we have is Balanced Black Girl, and it's brought to you by LaShondra. And she's a Black woman health and wellness expert. She discussed mental, physical, and emotional health and setting boundaries, as well as things. She do different things like journaling. Not she show us her journaling, but she talk about the importance of journaling and like why you should be journaling, the type of things that you should be journaling. And she also talk about keeping space for you to rest, allow yourself time, giving yourself the time that you need, because you know, when life is going on, it can be hard for us to remember that we need to take time to relax. I don't know if y'all remember, but it was one time I think Beyonce said like she was on tour for 3 days and she forgot to eat. Like, we have to make sure we take time for ourselves, you know, stuff like that happen. And my episode from her, which this relates to another episode that I was talking about, it is Good Girl Gone Bad, releasing shame and living on your own terms. This episode, she related it to like when Rihanna, I guess, went from good girl to bad girl. And that was also similar to the Nice Girls Finished last episode from Cultivating Her Space. Talked about how when you have to stop being the nice person and you gotta do some things a little different. But in that episode, she was talking about how she went viral for a TikTok. I think she was saying like,
I've been suffering. I suffered for 19 years. It's time for me to shake my ass on a yacht. In Dubai. In a phone.
She was on it today. And people was all in her comments saying, oh no, this and the third. They assumed that she was talking about sex and stuff like that. And she was just saying she wanted to go get a tattoo. So she was just saying like, it's crazy how people always assuming that they know stuff. In the comments, they saying this, then the third. They like, oh, you're gonna get a HIV. Don't be doing all that. Man, this lady is celibate. So she like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Like, I just want to go get a little tattoo. But yeah, that's that. And we about to go to the next one. The last podcast we have is the Selfish Talk podcast. Now, this podcast, this is the first podcast I ever started listening to. Not ever. I listened to some other podcasts, but this is the first kind of like, I would say, girl boss kind of like self-love. This was the first type of podcast that I listened to like that, as far as personal development podcast. This is the first one I started listening to. I started listening to it last year in like the early fall, late summer is when I started listening to it. And this person, her name is Olaniki Osibawale. She talks about self-love and spirituality, and she's very unapologetic, and she will keep it as real as it gets. Like, her latest episode was talking about basically how, like, is the B word derogatory or is it like uplifting kind of? And she was explaining how to her it is uplifting, and she was saying like she don't care what nobody else say. And she was talking about how somebody came into her DMs and they was telling her that she needs to stop calling herself that, and she's like, I don't care, because words, it's not about the word that you're saying, it's about how you're saying it and the tone you're using it. If you're using it to uplift somebody else, she's like, it's uplifting. That's one thing. She also do episodes where they're just affirmation episodes. So like she'll do an episode and she's literally just giving affirmations for you to say, for you to do. And it'll be like 10 minutes or whatever, just straight affirmations the whole time. I feel like that's a good thing. It allows you to take a step back and remind yourself of certain things. But she do curse a lot, and she will tell you like, if literally, I think in her intro she say like, if you don't like profound language, get off the podcast, because she does curse a lot. So if you have a problem with that, don't even think about listening to her. But I can't pick a favorite from her. I would just say go to her podcast, click on whatever one you want to listen to, and just listen to it. Like, you're gonna enjoy it. But yeah, that's the last one. That is all that I have for this video. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this, or if you listen to any of these podcasts already. Comment down below and tell me what your favorite is, or if any that you heard of, or if you're going to listen to these, which one's your favorite, what sounds the most interesting to you, as well as leave some suggestions of podcasts to me, because I would like to start listening to more people. And yeah, thank you for watching. Y'all have a good day, good night, whatever, and make sure to stay pretty, stay paid,